is a piece from the book called The Talks and Dialogues, Krishnamurti, page 108. There is a battle going on all the time between various thoughts. The mind is a battlefield, a field in which there is constant conflict, one thought against another thought, one desire against another desire, one pleasure dominating all other pleasures, and so on. But if there is an awareness of the beginning of thought, then there is no contradiction in thought. I thought that's interesting. And down below I have another underline. If the mind can discover without being aware of the center, then every thought is not a distraction. And here the point I can check, interested and curious, is the meaning of discover without being aware of the center. What he means by the center, which means, in my word, there's no center. But if you find a center somewhere, it may start to disrupt the other. Therefore, he says, if you are being aware of the center, then every thought is not a distraction. And the Zen saying on this same point is the center without, no. There's a circle without the center. And the circle may mean the mind, and without the center being similar to the notion of the center here. Again, it says, if the mind can discover without being aware of the center, then every thought is not a distraction. So the point is that instead of capturing a mind in one item and the other and checking relationship, this and that, we start to lose the basis. It is, so to say, we are off from the ground. But the grounded state is that you can see the whole without getting particular attention to a certain area. If I use the analogy of the mirror, if we look at our face in the mirror, we may see the whole, but if we just pick one area, let's say there's a mole in one area, and then you start to think about, where did it come from? How big is it? And has it been there? And you start to be occupied in that. So that's the center you identify. So the point of this message about the mind is that there's a mind that captures our attention so that we can do something about. But if we do something about for any ideas and the thought and the centers that scattered around and connected to each other, we get lost in the maze of what this is all about. So if I may just interject my view of how we may deal with it, it is as if to say, okay, here's the thought, and that's one dimension. There's a universe of the thought, the mind. But there's another universe where everything is manifesting. Well, that's too obvious, but following the law of nature. And if you can see you in that universe, then at the end there's nothing wrong with it, because it's not you to manifest anything but the law of nature, or you can call God. God is prevailing everywhere, and all the source of the wisdom, compassion, everything is originating from that. Even the mind has a connection to that. But if we have a connection and be able to see those two worlds, one is the world or the universe of the mind, and the other is the basis of who we are, or you can say consciousness and unconsciousness, or the brain, mind versus body, to say it simply. So that somewhere else I think I mentioned that if we can have your position not caught up in the mind, but look at both universes, so to speak. One, the universe of the mind, and the other, universe of everything as it is, manifesting the law of nature. Let's assume that, and then for the sake of discussion, we say the ground is the body. And you can see what's going on in the body. You can feel it, sense it, smell it, touch it, all of that. And when you're doing it without being in the state of mind, your awareness is there to sense if the stomach is hurting or not, and the back is hurting or not. But if the mind occupied with the back hurting, then the mind starts to play its game by itself. Why it's hurting? How can I do? When did it start? Is it getting bigger? So the mind will be captured. And therefore, whatever is going on in the body is reflected on the mind. And if we look into the mind, just like the case of the mole, we can start to play with that. And that's, as soon as we play with that, we are losing the ground, because it's the mind's game. But what I'm saying is that those two universes may be seen in one glance. Let's play this game. So there are two universes, mind universe and let's say the body universe. And you pay attention to mind, what's going on, and at the same time you pay attention to the body. So when you can have attention to or awareness to both universes almost simultaneously, mind and body. Let's do that exercise. Close your eyes. Let's check in the mind what's there. And then check what's going on in the body. Back to the mind. And check again back to the body. I'm sitting on the chair. I feel the pressure at the bottom. I'm comfortable. All of that, in my case. And then go back to the mind. Nothing. I can hear the subtle noise, but I'm not playing with the idea, just accepting and watching. And I hear the airplane, but I'm not dwelling on it. Let it pass and go back to the body, back to the mind, back and forth. You have a sense of awareness or sense of being with what's going on in the mind and body. So those two universes I mentioned, the mind universe and body, or consciousness and unconsciousness, let's say, because body is the unconscious action of whatever is happening, digestion, blood circulation, pulsation, whatever, it's happening without your mind controlling it. So mind space and non-mind space, so to speak. Consciousness space and unconsciousness space, but manifesting in some sensation. And if we can see both universes being aware at the moment, here and now, then you may find that space, there's nothing, emptiness. You may feel breathing, but your mind is free. I heard a little noise downstairs, and I thought that may be my friend. No big deal. So we see, hear, smell, touch, whatever, and mind movement at the same time. Both universes observed. So there's a connection of what's going on in the mind. The connection established, so to speak. the mind space and body space, or the conscious space and unconscious space. And in the state of that awareness, you are as you are. So, if I go back to what the Krishnamurti was talking about, let's revisit. There is a battle going on all the time between various thoughts. The mind is a battlefield, a field in which there is constant conflict or relationship or cause and effect, whatever. One thought against another thought, one desire against another desire, one pleasure dominating all other pleasures, and so on and so. But if there is an awareness of being beginning of thought, then there is no contradiction in thought. When he talks about awareness of beginning thought, to be aware of the beginning of thought, you are aware. So you keep the awareness, is what he's talking about. And then the next one is down below. If the mind can discover without being aware of the center, which is not identifying yourself with any action or the feeling or the noise, then every thought is not the distraction. It's like a puff of the cloud. The noise of the plane, but you don't get caught up because you're aware of it. Aware of that, aware as well as aware of what's in the body. So you are whole, not fragmented. And that's the pure awareness. And in that space of pure awareness, there's something interesting happening. Liveliness, the way of the universe, even the principle of the universe manifesting, and we are there as a witness, but also as a participant. What does that mean? You don't think about the meaning. You are at the state of being. And the state of being is blissful, if I may use that word, peaceful, even though nothing to identify about what's going on. But we are aware. You can ask in your mind, what is that awareness? And you observe that thinking, and then you don't need to have an answer because you are the awareness by itself. So I guess I can close this by saying, just be aware. Mind, movement, body, situation. Have eyes to see both. Bridge the gap. Be in the awareness. Find the base of our operating every day. Especially when we get lost or we are getting lost. As Krishnamurti said at the beginning of the thought, if you are aware of it, then there's no contradiction. Or the noise in mind internally, or noise externally, what's going in the mind, what's going on in the body, everywhere. Pure awareness, pure acceptance. And let's see if we can. There's no we, but if we can experience it. And every now and then, try this, especially when you're in a delusionally thought, and see what happens. See what happens in each person's direct experience. And that may be the basis that we spend our time from moment to moment. Why? Because there's the wisdom of the universe possibly manifesting that we see, even the sense of awakening. And that may become our home, eternal home, where we came from, and where we are, and where we may go. Thank you.